Recording in progress.
Okay. So how was your day?
It was going well until I made it home.
Oh, well, thanks. Cool. Same.
Nah, well, I would say that we had an amazing dinner. Really great.
Thank you.
Food was good. Uh, what was that you made?
It was a chili, but instead of normal like pinto beans and whatnot, I used these white beans and green lentils with, other spices and ground beef and everything. And then I made garlic bread with Swiss cheese on top.
It was good.
It was good.
And we just Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And Pinocchio is a very well-known story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of allegory in it, a lot of symbols, a lot of meaningful wisdom. Meaningful wisdom, that's like double speak. But there was a lot of wisdom in it, a lot of
Yeah, it wasn't
life.
stupid wisdom, it was the good kind.
Exactly, life educations. And one of them, and especially when, as new parents, one of the things that stood out to me is being careful about the words that you use to your child,
Mhm.
especially when you're angry.
Oh, okay, because of the whole burden scene.
Because of the relationship of the old man. What was his name?
Geppetto.
Geppetto and Pinocchio and Carlo. Geppetto wanted Pinocchio to be like Carlo.
Carlo, his first son.
And so he got angry once and called Pinocchio a burden.
Yeah. And Pinocchio took that to heart. And it really, like, he really felt that. And he ended up doing some, taking destructive action to prove he wasn't a burden.
Mhm.
But, he probably wouldn't have, it probably wouldn't hit him as hard if, but yeah, see, Pinocchio is new to life. He's just barely understanding language, life, everything. So
He's wooden, he's not a real
yeah,
human.
he's even more of a blank slate than a child his age.
And you just said something very important. It's a blank slate.
Yeah.
Which is usually how children come into this world.
Exactly. They're a blank slate. They're gonna learn everything from us.
Yes.
You have to teach them everything. So whatever we fill their heads with, and of course whoever else is involved in their life and teaching them and whatnot, that's what they're gonna know.
It shapes their future, it influences their choices.
Right. So Pinocchio was very fresh. He was extra fresh, more fresher than a regular
He was
kid today.
excited, it was exuberant with life.
Yeah.
He wanted to do everything.
Everything. And the second he his father gets angry with him and calls him a burden just right there, then he remembered he learned what a burden was from the cricket. And that hurt him. That took him from here to here. And he took action against that. So yeah, and that like completely turned his entire world upside down, just that word. Because that set him off on this journey of proving he wasn't a burden and trying to be more helpful and all of that. So
and all Pinocchio wanted to do was love his father and be his father's. He wanted to prove to his father that he can be a good boy.
Yeah.
His father, being influenced by his environment, by the society that he lived in at that particular time, wanted his son to fit in, to follow the rules. But sometimes these rules may not be good for you, may not be very appropriate. let's not forget these rules were man-made, they were made by human beings. And so his son, Pinocchio, made mistakes, pissed off his father, which every child would do. Every children, they come as a blank slate and they want to live life, which is something that they have that curiosity. They want to learn.
Society and parents want to just shut
Knock
them
it
into
out.
get them to fall in line with everyone else. So his father wanted him to go to school, which he tried to, but he was distracted and
They
then
couldn't fit in.
couldn't fit in and he didn't go to school that day. And then his father called him a burden because he caused him trouble after that.
Yes. He called him a burden only because he came from a good place. Let's not forget, there was a line there and he said, sometimes we say things that we really don't mean at the moment. And because he said that you're a burden, doesn't mean that he really meant it. It took Pinocchio a while, and different events had to happen in his life before he came to that understanding. But it cost his father so much. It cost his father Pinocchio, because Pinocchio eventually ran away.
Yeah.
And I think that message stood out to me, even though we're new parents, our daughter is not old enough, still very young.
But she's gonna learn everything from us,
Yes.
whatever we say to her and everything that we show her. And that, all of our actions and whatnot, she's watching us.
Mhm.
She's repeating her actions all day long. She shows me all day that she's copying me and she's soaking everything I do in.
How does that make you feel?
It's like, wow. On one hand, I'm just blown away by how smart she is and how much she's really picking up. But then at the same time, then it's putting a lot of burden on me. Because I know that I have to
Live up to these heightened expectations.
yeah, I have to be a lot better because she's gonna watch me. So if I want her to be not better than me, I have to actually be a better version of me. And then she'll watch that and want to become something like that. Or maybe she won't want to become something like that, but regardless, we always become our parents. So she'll still become me. So I still have to do way better.
Yeah, I know how you feel, but I also on the back of my mind, even though I feel that pressure, but I also understand that we're human and we're better off being transparent with her versus trying to be something that we're not. Even though we should strive to be the best version of ourselves.
Well, when
We
I
should also be
say better,
transparent.
I mean, hmm. I don't necessarily mean like better as in I'm trying to, what do you think I mean by better?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Like we should actively try to be better versions of ourselves.
Yeah, better.
We're constantly improving, growing, exercising, eating right,
So I don't
reading,
think that I
learning.
would want to put pressure on myself to be some other or like a Hollywood version of what a perfect woman is or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that that's what I'm trying to say. So
I understand that. Of course. I mean, the fact there's no, that doesn't make any, that's chasing shadows. That's not being your true self. And I don't know,
right.
I know you're not that kind of person to chase icons like this, like they
Right.
say.
But I do need to be a stronger, more truer version of myself, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I just need to keep growing and doing better. And then, yeah, whatever bad habits that I think I have, I need to do better those areas as well. Because yeah, I mean, she's gonna pick up everything.
Yes, at the same time, we we have to watch our words, especially when she makes us angry, because she will make us angry. And I do worry about that sometimes because she has a tendency to start screaming and demanding things. Obviously, the older she gets, we'll have a better way of communicating with her and
She does
laying
have
down
very
rules.
strong personality.
But our job is to, while disciplining and admonishing her, it has to come from place of love, obviously, and also have guardrails where we're not, where I'm gonna watch my words not to say something that might cause her harm,
Right,
or traumatize her.
right.
Rather than speak to her from a place of anger, I will seek to say things to her from a place of understanding where I have a dialogue, an open dialogue, and I'll try to make her understand why I'm saying the things I'm saying to her, and I'll hear her out as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. I think it is important to make sure that we don't say something that's going to traumatize her because, I mean, come on, haven't we had our parents traumatize us with their words at some point or another
Yeah,
throughout our childhood?
for real. I mean, I know the previous generation meant well, but they made their mistakes, and there are certain things that my folks said to me that stuck around, and they do stick around. It's
They
crazy.
do, they really do. And sometimes when you look back and you try to picture yourself as your parents, or try to look at your parents from a different angle, and I mean, you know, they weren't God, but it felt so intense when they would say like one word, it just hit you. And then your entire world shifts.
I
You know,
understand that
like,
now. I mean,
yeah, but
'cause
to them, they probably were like, whatever, I was mad. You did something wrong. I had to yell at you about it or whatever. But so I don't even think it was that, like, they didn't even see what they were doing as
Mhm.
being very intense or like it was going to have that much of an impact on us. But there were moments where whatever they said or did had a huge impact and was, like you said, very traumatizing. So,
yeah, I definitely I remember certain things that hurt me at the time. But the older I get, and I look back at the age that my dad was at the time, and I realize how young he was.
yeah, our parents were younger than us.
Yeah, they were younger than
when they
us.
were
And it's crazy that they were even that gracious. If I'm to put myself in their shoes. Remember the picture that they shared on the group
Yeah.
chat? I was just looking at how young my dad was. He was younger than me in that picture.
Yeah, and you were what, 8?
And I had to be like 11 in that 10 or 11 in that picture. And he was definitely maybe early 30s.
That is wild.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm trying to remember how I thought. I mean, in my early 30s, I was pretty immature, but yeah, it's just we have to give our parents grace. I understand that now, but in those younger years, certain things that he may have said out of anger or whatever, they hurt.
I also feel like we're on a different trajectory, or we're on a completely different path. We've done at this point in our life, we've done a lot of thinking and soul searching, and we've matured, obviously. Yeah, okay, there's that age difference. So we are more mature than our parents were when they were new parents. But I feel like we're on a different level, like a different mental state. And so we're looking at all this from a different angle. Then again, maybe I'm getting too full of myself as well. And
What do you mean you're getting too full?
because I'm like, well, maybe we're able to see the bigger picture. Maybe we're able to rise, get our mental state is a little bit
Yeah,
higher than where they were when they were just kind of like buried in all this stress and whatever else a young parent goes through,
yeah, we've been through a lot though
you know.
in the
Yeah,
past few years. And let's not forget, I'm turning 40 this year,
I know.
and you're gonna be
Well, I'm
35.
35 right now,
So we're not kids anymore. So we've been through our own share of life, and we've made different choices.
we've, I would say that we have become wise somewhat
Mhm.
over the years where, I mean, I can't call us enlightened, because that's a huge word, that is. But I mean, we're on that type of a path. I
Mhm.
feel like we're always seeking wisdom and trying
Yeah.
to do better in that respect. So, my parents weren't readers. And the content they were consuming was like, Seinfeld and Fresh Prince. So, and the news, of course, the holy news.
I know.
So,
So the content that you consume is very important.
I think that we're just on a different trajectory than they were. And so that's why we on a different path, and we're catching a lot of this. And we're looking back and we're analyzing what happened and trying to gain new perspective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, you can give them grace because, I mean, they were not at that, they didn't know better.
Yeah.
They did the best that they could with the tools that they had,
Now it's up to us
because we have
Level up.
much better
to
tools.
step up that game
So,
and get Amara to the place where she needs to be, understanding that now that we know not to use crazy words at her and do that. I think that's really what I wanted to point. Was there anything else that stood out in that movie to you?
I mean, there's just so much symbolism, and I really wanted to talk deeper about that, but at the same time, I haven't yet had time to make a lot of the connections and go through that in my head yet.
There was another one. He said, you get what you give. They said that multiple
Yeah,
times.
they did.
You get what you give. There's tons of symbolism throughout Pinocchio. If people have never seen Pinocchio, they have to, especially Guillermo
new
del
one.
Toro's version
They
of it.
made it
It's really
different.
good.
It did a lot of different things with this one, but in essence, it's the same story.
Right. It's timeless story. It's a story that says a lot about
But a lot of
life.
the events were different, kind of.
Yeah. I would like to see another director recreate this story in a different version, different context, different type, different people, even different cultures.
Yeah.
Because the story is timeless. It's got the same thing there. Just basically, you can't, even the part
I like
where
how they
stop
showed,
selling your soul to the devil as well.
yeah.
And
they did show Pinocchio, like when he leveled up and he gained wisdom, like he learned a lesson and then he taught the lesson.
Yeah.
There were times when he taught or he helped, you know what I mean? Like, like with the whole, when he went to the carnival and he learned that this whole thing wasn't happening. And so he teamed up with the monkey and they did that thing and then they took care of each other. Then there was a point where, remember when he joined the military, the military school for the boys?
Right.
And I mean, he comforted the, I don't know, the general, I guess, his son, who felt really, so basically he was in a similar position as Pinocchio felt when Pinocchio first left his home and went on his journey.
Right.
And he was trying to comfort and give wisdom to the boy, and he said the same thing that you brought up a minute ago about, don't, sometimes parents will say things and they don't really mean them in that, they only meant it in that moment, but they don't really mean it, and then over like time will heal,
Yeah,
or time will help them realize.
yeah, at that point, he was teaching,
He was
but
teaching.
he had to learn that. It took him a while to learn that, and now he
Yes.
had an opportunity to teach it to this kid. A little later in that scene, in that setting, during that time frame, a lesson that stood out is that there doesn't always have to be a winner. Even when there's
Yes.
even when there's a struggle or competition, it's okay for there to be a tie and people can actually cooperate.
Which is what happened at the end when
Yes.
they did the whole tie thing, and then they both tied their flags and they came down like, we both won.
Right,
Of course, the kid's father was really mad about that, and he actually wanted him to shoot Pinocchio.
right. You know, and in the context of the geopolitical issues that we're having
Yeah.
across the world with the Ukrainian war and Russian war, it's like, why does there always have to be a winner? Why is it always an us versus them type of issue where you have, our government posturing and saying things like it's us, it's the US, US and its allies versus the East. What if we just cooperate and work together? This world has an abundance of resources for everybody. This mentality of us versus them, limited resources. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that when Pinocchio was going through that journey, he had to learn that lesson. He learned many lessons actually along the whole way. And then in the end, when he finally dies,
Mhm.
then Sebastian the cricket comes out and he's like, didn't you see I get a wish? She's like, well, did you do what you were supposed to do? And then he's like, you told me I had to make sure he's a good boy, make sure he's good.
Right.
He learned how to be good. And then also throughout the whole movie, wasn't he constantly saying things like, you have to try your best and that's all anyone can ask from you?
Yes, that was another lesson that all we can do is do our best. And that's all you can do. There's this idea that we're not enough or that you needed to measure up to certain expectations or that you needed to be somebody who you're not. The message there is
It's be
be
the best
you.
version of you.
Exactly.
That's all anyone can.
Be the best version of yourself.
And that was something else that Pinocchio's father Geppetto had to learn as well, because remember the whole movie, or through a lot of the movie, not the whole movie, but he was putting pressure on Pinocchio to be like Carlo.
Mhm.
And then finally in the end, it was like, Pinocchio, just be you. That's all I want from you. Just, I just want you.
And he had to come to that lesson.
He has that lesson as well.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give that movie like major props. It's got so much lessons, so many things, so much to learn. It's even worth watching over and over.
Yeah, to catch some more of it, because there was a lot.
Yeah, it's the type of movie that you gather kids around and show them the movie and talk to them about it. Plenty of lessons to learn.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. You want anything else you want to add?
Yeah, this is like definitely steps above the Disney version.
I have to tell you, yeah, that's definitely better than I don't think that's Disney.
No, Pinocchio's like an old folk story, I guess.
Right.
But Disney has their version of it.
I wouldn't even. I was gonna say I wouldn't even trust Disney's version. Disney has a way of putting a political leaning to any of their stories, or just they have a slant. They always have a propaganda in their stories, which kind of irritates me. Because these stories don't really need you to take it to any one particular angle or direction. If you present them the way they are, they're timeless for a reason.
Yeah.
So, but just my opinion. All right. Until next time.
Until next time.